Hello, magical friends, and welcome back to Storycrafts Kids. Get ready for a tale about a very ordinary boy and the most extraordinary tiny secret he ever kept. Meet Leo. Leo was a boy who loved structure. He loved organized drawers, color-coded notebooks, and especially his big, sturdy blue backpack. His backpack was not just for books. It was a fortress of order, where every pencil, ruler, and permission slip had its exact place. Nothing was ever out of line in Leo's world. One sunny Tuesday morning, as Leo was double-checking his supplies for science class, he heard a sound. It wasn't the sound of paper rustling or a zipper clicking. It was a faint, high-pitched tink. Leo paused. He was certain all his metallic objects, the protractor, the keys, were accounted for and secured. He carefully opened the main compartment of the backpack, expecting to find a rogue marble or a forgotten coin. Instead, resting delicately on his brand new history textbook, was something luminous, no bigger than a teacup. It was a unicorn. A perfect, miniature, shimmering unicorn, barely taller than his thumb. Its coat was the color of fresh snow, and its horn, which had made the little tink sound, glowed with soft rainbow light. The tiny creature had a mane that looked like spun moonlight, and it had small, sparkly wings that fluttered almost too fast to see. Leo blinked 3 times, then closed and reopened his backpack, hoping it was a trick of the light from the dusty window. But the mini unicorn was still there, now nibbling gently on the corner of his compass. "Stop!" Leo whispered fiercely, terrified his perfect structure was about to be undone by a magical pest. The mini unicorn looked up with wide, gentle blue eyes. It gave a tiny, almost silent "Nay," and then sneezed a puff of lavender glitter. "You are small," Leo managed, feeling completely overwhelmed. "And you are definitely not supposed to be in my backpack." The unicorn stepped lightly, leaving a trail of shimmering dust across the textbook's cover. He decided to call the unicorn Pipsqueak for obvious reasons. Pipsqueak seemed to understand. He trotted across the book, leaving a tiny, iridescent hoofprint trail. Leo knew instinctively that this creature had to be a secret. No one, absolutely no one, could ever know that his organized world contained a tiny, magical resident. He zipped the backpack quickly, feeling a strange mix of panic and utter, dizzying wonder. On the bus ride to school, Pipsqueak gave Leo a quick lesson in tiny magic. Pipsqueak's magic wasn't the kind that could grant wishes or turn things into gold. It was a much subtler, quieter kind of magic. Leo felt a faint tugging sensation, and when he checked his bag, he saw Pipsqueak struggling with his lunchbox zipper. The zipper had been stuck for a week, but Pipsqueak's glowing horn managed to align the tiny metal teeth perfectly. Click! It worked! The tiny unicorn had a talent for fixing very small, everyday flaws. Later, when Leo forgot to put his math homework in its correct folder, Pipsqueak performed a daring feat. Using his tiny wings, Pipsqueak flew the single sheet of paper from the side pocket into the main section. The wind generated by his wings was so small, it was like a tiny, gentle puff of air, but it was just enough to guide the paper. Pipsqueak was the ultimate helper for miniature mistakes. He was a magical repairman for daily disasters. But keeping Pipsqueak a secret was harder than keeping a giraffe in a closet. During history class, Pipsqueak decided to explore the dark interior of Leo's desk. He mistook a wadded-up eraser shaving for a delicious cloud and began nibbling on it. When the teacher called on Leo to answer a question, a loud, clear, tiny ring echoed from his backpack. It was Pipsqueak, accidentally bumping his horn against Leo's stainless steel thermos. "Mr. Leo, did your lunchbox just cheer?" the teacher asked, looking suspiciously at the blue backpack. Leo had to pretend he was choking on a piece of gum, causing a dramatic scene to distract everyone. The next day, Pipsqueak learned about art class, which was less organized than Leo preferred. Pipsqueak loved the bright, vibrant colors of the glitter glue tubes. He tried to help Leo finish a messy poster for a school project about the solar system. When Leo unzipped the bag, the entire solar system poster was covered in tiny, neat rainbow streaks. While the streaks were undeniably magical, they were also very obviously magical, and Leo couldn't turn it in. "Pipsqueak, you need to stay put. You're magnificent, but your existence is a logistical nightmare," Leo scolded gently. Pipsqueak slumped sadly into the corner, his tiny rainbow horn dimming slightly. Leo regretted being harsh. He knew Pipsqueak meant well. His actions simply had huge, sparkly consequences in a non-magical world. The biggest challenge came on Friday, the day of the invention fair. Leo had spent weeks building a complex moving model of a self-watering plant system. He pulled his project out of the backpack, but the main gear, a crucial, complicated piece of plastic, was missing. Panic flooded Leo. Without that gear, the entire invention was just a collection of sticks and wires. He frantically searched the bag, turning it upside down, shaking it until his shoulders ached. "It's gone! I'm going to fail the fair," Leo whispered, tears starting to sting his eyes. Pipsqueak watched from the bottom of the bag, his large blue eyes full of worry. The mini unicorn's magic was good for fixing zippers and guiding papers, but it couldn't simply make a large, missing gear reappear. Leo sat down, leaning his back against the wall, feeling completely defeated. His organized, structured world was collapsing because of one missing piece. Pipsqueak trotted out and nudged Leo's finger with his glowing horn, attempting to comfort him. "It's okay, buddy," Leo sighed. "Even your great tiny magic can't fix this big problem." But Pipsqueak started gently pulling on Leo's shoelace, an urgent little tug. Leo looked down and realized Pipsqueak was pointing not into the bag, but under his desk. "You think it fell out here?" Leo asked, still skeptical. The desk was messy and full of other junk. Pipsqueak took off, fluttering down to the floor, weaving through old papers and candy wrappers. He landed on a forgotten textbook and started nudging it with his head, trying to push the heavy book. Leo finally got the hint. Pipsqueak wasn't trying to magic the gear back. He was trying to guide Leo to where it physically was. Leo moved the heavy textbook, and there, tucked right against the leg of the desk, was the missing plastic gear. It had fallen out when Pipsqueak had startled him during history class. Leo grabbed the gear, his heart pounding with relief. He quickly attached it to his invention. Click! It worked perfectly. He looked down at Pipsqueak, who was preening his tiny mane, proud of his detective work. Leo realized something profound in that moment about his tiny, magical friend. Pipsqueak's real magic wasn't the glitter or the zipper fixing. Pipsqueak's real magic was his size and his perspective. Because he was so small, he saw the small details Leo always missed in his rush to solve big problems. Leo, focused on the large picture of the invention fair, completely overlooked the small space beneath his desk. Pipsqueak, living close to the ground, saw the tiny clue immediately. His presence in the backpack forced Leo to slow down, to notice the mundane, the small things that actually mattered. If Pipsqueak hadn't made the tink sound, Leo never would have opened his eyes to the smaller world around him. Leo hugged his backpack close, feeling Pipsqueak settle inside next to his perfectly organized pencils. "Thank you, Pipsqueak," Leo whispered. "You are the best tiny creature I could ever ask for." He learned that day that a truly great friend isn't just someone who solves your problems with grand gestures. Sometimes, the best friends are the ones who help you notice the tiny, important things you overlook. They help you find the missing pieces that were right under your nose all along. The tiny unicorn, the most unusual character Leo had ever met, was teaching him the value of a unique viewpoint. Leo went on to present his invention, the self-watering plant system, and it was a great success. The judges praised the complex gear system, which Leo knew Pipsqueak had helped him find. Afterward, Leo gave Pipsqueak a small reward, a tiny, carefully cleaned carrot sliver, which Pipsqueak ate with great enthusiasm. Leo realized his backpack wasn't just a fortress of order anymore. It was a home for a magical friend. The backpack was still organized, but now it had a little pocket of chaos and wonder inside it. Leo had become a member of the Magical Friends, those who understand that the most extraordinary relationships come from the most unusual places. Pipsqueak remained his secret, a tiny glowing reminder that even in the most structured life, there is room for fantasy and fun. From that day forward, Leo still organized his belongings, but he always left a small, soft cloth in the main pocket. That soft cloth was for Pipsqueak, a cozy, tiny resting spot for his very important, very tiny life. Leo no longer panicked when he heard a tiny tink or saw a trail of glitter. He simply smiled, knowing his magical friend was nearby, ensuring that the tiny details of life were always taken care of. He learned that the greatest adventures don't require huge dragons or grand spells. They only require a shift in perspective. And that perspective came from a thumb-sized unicorn living in his blue backpack. Pipsqueak taught Leo that being small doesn't mean being insignificant. Every tiny creature, every small detail, and every unique perspective holds a certain kind of magic. What a wonderful lesson on appreciating the unusual characters in our lives and the power of tiny things. If you loved Leo and Pipsqueak's adventure, please remember to hit that like button. Share this story with your magical friends who love tiny creatures. And always subscribe to Storycrafts Kids for more fantastical tales. See you next time, magical friends.